That was Out of My Head by Sueco off his new record, Attempted Lover, and I am very stoked, very honored, and man, it's just been too long into his career to get him here. Very excited for the first time ever to have Sueco on the show. What's up?
Yo, what the fuck is up? It's me, Sueco. We're in here.
Hell yeah, dude, congratulations on the record. I am a giant fan of it. I ran into you at Emo Night, and I chewed your ear off about how much I loved it. Then you followed me on Instagram, and I was like, I got to tell him right now how much I love this record.
Dude, thanks, man. Yeah, it's been a long time coming. I'm glad we could finally put it out, man.
Hell yeah. Dude, it's awesome. And I love how consistent you stay with starting out with a beautiful acoustic type ballad to open the record, then immediately an anthemic stadium song that's going to be the biggest on the record right out the gate like that.
Yeah, well, you got to give them the one that you want them to hear first, and then you got to give them the one they want to hear second.
But, dude, Out of My Head just reminds me so much of the first time I heard Paralyzed. I'm like, one, this dude's voice is insane. Two, why isn't this in every stadium? Like, why isn't the LA Rams walking out to this right now? And
maybe they will be. Maybe tomorrow we wake up and the LA Rams is walking out to it. Who knows?
Hey, I hope so. But, dude, it's awesome. And the thing I did notice most about this record is it was more so singing than your signature Sueco kind of emo hip-hop flow you have. I heard some of that influence throughout, but not as much as previous records.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just found myself writing melodies more instead of, like, rapping.
Okay.
I don't know. I guess maybe part of it has to do with, I don't like drink, I don't party anymore. I've been sober for like 3 years. And I'm not old. I'm 27.
Yeah.
So I'm not old, but like I'm getting to the point where it's like, what am I gonna rap about? My feelings or whatever? It's great. I have a lot of feelings, but a lot of the times the feelings is like it kind of manifests itself more as the kind of singing, I guess. I don't know. I don't think it was a conscious, I'm not going to rap as much. It just kind of just happened like that.
For sure. And talk about kind of the first release in 2019, which was mostly emo hip-hop style music. And then I read your incredible post you posted on Instagram about the record, like that life-changing experience.
Yeah.
And, dude, reading it brought me back to 2019 when that was the world that we were in.
Yeah.
Like, I remember running into you a handful of times at On the Rocks, I'm pretty sure, when you did have the blue hair. I was DJing, I'd say what up and stuff, and I'm like, who is that dude? But he looks cool. And just to hear the progression, and then I think it was probably one of your first shows, Exposure World, at that warehouse in 2021.
It was, Exposure World. It was one of the first shows after, like, dropping some of the more rock-leaning music.
Yeah.
Right? I'd done like a couple shows here and there before as Sueco, and I did a bunch of shows when I was like younger. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that was crazy because it was like the middle of the pandemic pretty much.
Yep.
And it was just like a warehouse, like crazy party just in the middle of downtown in like a warehouse. Yeah, that was sick. What a time, man.
I remember seeing you play live, and Colin was playing guitar for you, which was awesome. And I just remember being like, yo, Colin has swag. And I've never like described someone playing guitar with swag. And then I'm like, yo, Sueco's fucking sick. Holy shit.
Yeah.
This is my first show post-COVID. I'm not mad at this at all.
During COVID.
Yeah, during COVID. Yeah, kind of during COVID. So talk about how important that show was, because not only was that maybe a very important show for Sueco the artist, but the community at large, because I feel like you kind of led the front of LA artists post-pandemic / during the pandemic, from my perspective at least.
What's crazy is I remember bits and pieces of that show. Like I remember like being extremely sweaty on that stage and raging, but at that point I was still like drinking. I hadn't quit yet, and so I was definitely blackout.
Yeah.
I don't really remember that much from that night,
Damn.
To be completely honest. Cuz I used to have I still do have stage fright, right?
Yeah.
But back then it was like crippling, right? And so I was for sure just out of my mind when I got onto that stage. Do not do that to anyone else listening. You don't need to do that. You can be fine just yourself. But to answer your question, What was it again?
Basically, how important that show was for not only your project but the LA community.
Oh
at the
yeah,
time.
so I think it was like a confirmation that there's something here.
Yeah.
There's something here, and it's not just numbers on a screen. Because I had been getting numbers on the screen on like TikTok and all that, but this was real.
Yeah.
It was face to face, and we'd been locked up for so long that connection, a real show, it just felt like, whoa, this is what people need right now. Connection, feeling together. And I don't know. It was just, that was a special time.
Definitely. And just like reading the story on Instagram, getting back to that, it's just like talking about trapping back in like 2019. And dude, I could like literally picture the trap house type situation. I obviously was, or maybe not obviously, but I'm pretty sure I never ended up at your trap house of all the ones I ended up at back in the day. It's possible.
I was not the trapper.
No.
I was not the big boy trapper.
Yeah.
That was someone else.
Yes.
Who shall remain nameless.
Exactly. We don't want to get that mixed up. But either way, just that whole community at the time everyone was so into music in that scene. So at what point was it you were like, okay, there's a shift in what's happening, not only in the world, but also in this music community right now? And maybe that's when like songs like Paralyzed, Drunk Dial and stuff started to come to be.
Like, when did I notice that happening?
Yeah.
I noticed it in myself first.
Okay.
I noticed that because I grew up listening to all types of different music, right? It was like American Idiot was my first album I ever bought. But then like at the same time, Good Kid, Mad City, Kendrick Lamar, also one of my favorite albums of all time. So it was just this kind of melting pot, right, of music. And I had been making alternative music or like rock or whatever my whole life. I was in bands growing up, and having fast blow up and the world seeing me as that, I felt like, okay, this is kind of part of me, but this isn't really like the whole picture of me. And a lot of what I felt like I needed to express, like just for myself, for my own sanity, like that I needed to get out, it manifested itself as the music I maybe made when I was a kid more. It was a little bit more like alternative or rock or whatever. I just noticed the feelings that I wanted to get out. It was that.
Yeah.
And kind of at the same time, I noticed in culture, kind of that people were realizing the same thing with that. Like, I mean, there's a lot of substance in a lot of rap music, right? There is, like, even in the SoundCloud thing, there was some that was a little dumb, but then there was some that was like, X or like Juice WRLD. Those were like very, thoughtful, emotional people. But I noticed that people were wanting different. I don't know where I'm even going with this.
I know exactly where you're going.
You know where I'm
with
trying.
I know
exactly what I'm saying. It was like I kind of noticed in myself first. Then I noticed, oh, the world is feeling like this too. I'm going to keep going on this path.
Yeah.
More or less. That's all I'm trying to say.
Hell yeah. And thank God you did. Or, I mean, I love everything you've put out, but just seeing the growth of Sueco as a project has been really cool to see, because obviously having Travis Barker on a track on the record, pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. And then everything you've gotten to do since then, like, I love your TikTok. Your TikTok is hysterical. So talk about that a little bit, like just bringing that fun shock jock humor back while promoting a song. Because if I had $1 for every time I've heard, yo, I fucking love what Sueco's doing on Instagram and Twitter and TikTok, I gotta kind of copy that and emulate that, I'd have at least $15.
Well, to me, like, I came up around like YouTubers. Those are all my like first kind of friends in the LA, whatever you want to call it, scene.
Yeah.
Right? And like 2017, 2018, there's skate YouTubers like Lamont Holt, Luis Mora, Jarrell. That was kind of my friends coming up. And my first ever kind of buzz in music was my own content. It was in 2018. I started making beats out of weird sounds on Instagram, like make a beat out of a condom, and then you like sample it and you like turn it into the turn it into the beat, and then you make the video, you post it. That was before any of my music blew up. That was what was going viral, and that was TikTok wasn't even a thing yet.
Yeah.
Right. And it's because all of my friends were already like content creators. Sure, YouTube is longer form, but short form isn't that different.
Yeah.
Right. And I think I'd just been around it so long that I learned to view it not in the same way as music, because to me music is like my original thing. Mm-hmm. But this is like it's another almost art form, creating content.
Yeah.
Right. And if you learn to have fun with it and you can do whatever you want with it, it's fun. Right. It's a part of the experience, or it's a part of the process. And it kind of just so happened that we were some of the first people to do that. Like, again, on Instagram before TikTok, the kind of self-promotional type of content, like, again, like the making the beat out of whatever. Because at the time, it was stuff like 6ix9ine. Mm-hmm. Where it's like, it's also using social media, but it's kind of a different way of doing it.
Yeah.
Right? But it just so happened that our style, because of TikTok and what happened, kind of the world moved in the direction that I already was at. Yeah. So I was kind of like fortunate for that.
The world caught up with you.
Yeah, we were pretty fortunate for that.
That's awesome. And I wanted to ask a lot about the past and just leading up to this moment to bring us back to Attempted Lover, because I feel like at this point, you're an artist that everyone's looking up to. Like, I've heard it from so many different artists. Not going to name names type thing right now, call everyone out, but they're all like, yo, what Sueco's doing so cool. The live set's awesome. Like the tour that you did with 44 Blonde, so fucking cool. So I wanted to talk about how you went from the artist you were, who's an awesome artist, to now an awesome artist who's influencing the next generation of artists with this album and previous releases now.
Like, how does that feel? Or what do you mean?
Like, how does it feel? And is it a different approach for you?
I don't know if it's a different approach. I would say, to some extent, I'm doing the same as I always have, where it's like, well, what do I feel? I'll just make that.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens.
Cool.
But I guess kind of how I remember starting out, even like when Fast was kind of taking off, I remember knowing that I would have like a very interesting career arc, probably.
Yeah.
Right? One of my like influences that I looked up to a lot when I was younger, kind of more like artistically or creatively than maybe musically, but was Tyler the Creator, right? I was a weird fucking skater nerd kid that like played Xbox and fucking all that, and that was what I understood. And I understood Odd Future, right?
Yeah.
I'm from LA, like that's like I was the person that they were talking to, right? But dude, it took like 10 years for, I feel like, mainstream culture to understand Tyler the Creator.
Yeah.
Right? It took a long time. That was not, because when he first came out, bro, that was like really left field.
Yup.
It was like super left field. And I kind of understood myself a little bit in the same way. Like, I knew, maybe it's not as extreme, but I knew what I'm doing and who I am is very left field of center right now. It's going to take time before what I'm doing is understood.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting, I've noticed, seeing and talking to artists that have kind of come up even after me that maybe even are now way bigger than me, but were looking at what we were doing on social media and have like said that was a huge influence on them, which is kind of crazy to me, to be honest.
Yeah.
That like, again, we were like some of the first doing that shit. It's pretty nuts. We weren't even thinking about that. At the time, we were just like banging our heads against the wall going, how the fuck do we blow this shit up?
Dude, it's so cool to see. And now with the record, like a lot of times during an interview, like with an artist, I'll be like, one of the go-tos is like, okay, cool, this record sounds cohesive. It's really cool. Yours doesn't sound cohesive at all in the coolest way possible. I feel like I have 12 different Suecos in a way when listening through. Like I told you off air, the way I do rotation is I just listen to the music. I don't see who the artist is. I don't look at the song title. I don't see who uploaded it. I just literally go by feeling, and if a song's good, a song's good. And I realized, I'm like, I have 5 different Sueco songs in 5 different categories on air right now. This is insane. So talk about the writing process with the record.
So this album, I would say, was definitely different than the last album in terms of like the process. A lot of it had to do with, I was signed at, I'll just say it. I was signed at Atlantic Records, and I'm not going to get too deep into it, but there was some problems. There was some real issues that was going on. And so we dropped, it was Fun While It Lasted, what? That was in 2022.
Yes, I believe so.
Right, so it was like 2.5 years ago. And I had been pretty much writing one of the songs is actually from before that was on Attempted Lover, was maybe like 3 years old. So we already had it by the time it was Fun While It Lasted came out. But I had issues getting music cleared, pretty much.
Gotcha.
With the label, I was not able to put out what I wanted to put out. And so because of that, I just kept writing and I kept writing and I kept writing, and I didn't really see, like, there was no, okay, I can drop the album now. I was kind of in this limbo state, and so I was pretty scattered. I wasn't, like, cohesively focusing on, like, oh, this is one sound, this is one whatever. I was just kind of writing songs. Just whatever I felt that day, I woke up and I wrote that song, right?
Yeah.
And we were finally able to get out of the deal. Thankfully, I'm independent now. And so when we were out, we were like, okay, fuck, we can drop the album. And then I had 200 songs, a little over 200 songs in a folder. And I decided, okay, well, we definitely have an album in here. There's 200 songs. But we need to figure out how we're going to make this work. So I knew I was cleared, and I knew we had the 200 songs. I went to the back, like the garage of my dad's house. We had been on tour for maybe like a year and a half straight. That was one of the things when I knew we were kind of struggling with getting the release or whatever. Mm-hmm. We were just on tour. We just fuck it. Let's just keep touring.
Yeah, that must be fun. Hey, let me for 90 minutes make everyone think that the world around me isn't collapsing.
Yeah. But we'd been touring for like so long, and I got back here to LA. I set up a little studio in my dad's garage. That's where I started making music in the first place. Me and my homies doing band practice back there when I was like 14 years old. Nostalgic place for me. I set up a little tiny studio, and I started going through the 200 songs, and I started picking them apart. Oh, yo, what if it's the chorus from this and the verse from this, but then the beat from this, right? So like kind of Frankensteining and mashing up songs together and picking the best of the best and compiling all that. That's where I got the bones for the album. And then kind of finished everything with Colin and Willie, mainly Colin this time.
Hell yeah.
So I guess the box kind of came at the end, or like the vision of the project kind of came at the end. That's why it's a little all over the place, but it's still real.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, I tried to make some shit that was all over the place. It just kind of happened that way.
I couldn't have asked for a better record. Honestly, it's like, man, now you're set up for like 10 different styles of music you could put out now, because all of these are fucking dope. So
thanks.
So now with the record that came out, you threw a very unique release party at a club, and it was Morgan DJing techno the whole night, if I remember right, from what I heard.
Yeah.
So talk about the importance of still staying in that scene of like EDM music and that club scene, even though obviously you're kind of removed from it at this point, in a way.
Well, I just think, okay, specifically with like electronic music,
Yeah.
I think there's an energy of just, I don't give a fuck. Like, and I'm just like here to have a good time. That I think electronic music says the best out of any other form. It's just like, I don't care, let's party.
Yeah.
And you need that sometimes. People need to have a good time sometimes, right?
Exactly.
Does that answer your question?
100%. Yeah, no, I mean, just full disclosure, I've been asking these questions because I kind of see you as the forefront of a lot of LA culture in the underground scene and obviously in the very big scale, the mainstream with everything. I mean, being an independent artist on rock radio with Out of My Head is pretty commendable.
Thanks.
When you put it that way, it's like, damn, you've, in a very short career to the public, you've done so much. But obviously, it's been a long time coming.
Is it even a short career in the public?
I mean, 5 years?
5 years?
That's a short career so far.
Really? That feels like I lived a whole lifetime. Sure.
I could see you around for 20 plus years, so 5 years is nothing.
That's the plan. Fingers crossed.
Hell yeah. So I have a few more questions on the new record before we talk about the tour you're about to head out on as well.
Yeah.
When people hear this, you'll probably be on the tour already. But so you have 12 songs and you have 12 music videos for the songs accompanying them.
Yes.
Talk about that because that is cool. Like, and also a fuck ton of work.
Yeah. Okay. So get this. So am I going to expose labels right now? All right. More or less. So music videos and music video budgets can be like really inflated sometimes, especially if you're with a record label. The cheapest you're going to get like a sick video, let's say. I mean, this is not to say like, oh, I have just the homie that has a camera, let's do something for free or like $500 or whatever. Like you can always do that if you have no money or you're broke or you're starting with nothing. But if you're like on a label and you want like a budgeted quote music video, you're probably spending like $10,000, right? You're probably spending around that.
Yeah.
And that's like a full day shoot for one video. In my head, I was like, I want a video for every single song. So that way there's more chances, right? Why would I spend $10,000 on one video when we could just like maybe do 2 or 3 days and get 12 videos? Even if they're visualizers, something's better than nothing. I'd rather have something for everything.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool. It can tell the whole story. It's like cohesive. It doesn't have to be crazy. It can be simple. As long as it's cool, it can be simple.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. And yeah, we did it with Nas, the director. They're fucking sick. And yeah, we made it happen. It's all in the garage.
Damn.
Yeah.
So really taking it back to your roots.
Yeah. I wanted it to just feel like a day in that garage. That was kind of the idea of the album, or at least the music videos, to show, oh, this is all one place.
Yeah.
It's all one place, but there's different feelings that you can feel in this place. There's different emotions.
That's a really cool concept.
Yeah.
Now, with this record, besides the one song you had forever, was this the first project that you've done sober?
I did about half of It Was Fun While It Lasted sober.
Oh, okay.
About maybe a little less than half.
Okay.
So it was like I quit like kind of like halfway-ish in the making of that album. But this is, the first that I've done completely.
Damn, congrats.
Thanks.
Did it change the writing process and maybe some lyrical inspiration a little bit?
For sure. I remember when I'm like 3 years now. I remember when I first quit, dude, it took me like 6 months or something to be able to like write again.
Really?
Like maybe not, but it was like a long time for me to be able to like activate that creative aspect within myself. Trying to think. We wrote Loser when I was already sober.
Oh, okay.
So what is does the inspiration change? I mean, yeah, you're living a different life.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe you can even say, like, talk about, it can be you're in the same world even. Just because I don't do anything doesn't mean I literally go out to any industry event and everyone's off their ass.
Yeah.
You know, like it's still around. I'm not.
Yeah.
And I don't fucking judge anyone. I don't care. It's like to each his own, you know? I don't know. Maybe that answers your question.
No, 100%. And I mean, to me, it doesn't look any different from the outside looking in at you. Getting up at emo night playing fucking Unwritten by Natasha Bedingfield, just having the best time of your life.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun.
Now we have 2 DJ sets under our belts together.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, man, we got to make it happen again. So much fun. So now you're heading out on tour. It's going to be a headlining tour for your record. Now, are you playing the record in full, or is it going to be a nice mashup of everything?
I mean, I am playing the record in full, but I'm playing some other things too.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I want to see the record in full.
You know what's crazy? I was like, when we were like putting the set together, I was like, oh, at some point in the set, I can be like, do you guys want to hear some old shit? And then I was like, I've gotten to the point where I can say, do you guys want to hear some old shit? And that like blew my mind.
That's awesome.
I don't know. Does that?
Yeah, no, 100%. Because, like, dude, it's not very often where I hear a new record and I'm like, I need to hear this whole record in full when I go to the show. This one, I'm like, I need to hear this full record when I go to the show.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. And, man, I can't wait to hear everyone's reaction when you say, do you want to hear some old shit?
I know. It just blew my mind that I've, like, gotten to that point.
Hell yeah. Well, you're the man. I really appreciate you coming by the studio for the first time ever, and I hopefully not the last time.
Yeah, this is sick, man. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And everyone can keep up with you on social media. It's the same thing across the board, right?
Yes. Sueco the Child on everything. Just at Sueco on TikTok and YouTube. Dude, I've been trying to get just at Sueco for so long.
They won't give it to you?
So it's 5 letters.
Okay.
And if it's 5 letters or less, Meta will not give it to you.
Really?
Yeah, they won't budge.
Damn.
If it's 6 or more, they like there's like a process to be able to do it. But if it's 5 or less, they just won't.
Damn. Shout out to NBC and all those getting in pretty early.
I know. That's crazy to have anything 5 letters or less is like, damn, you snapped.
I remember when Jax got JAX. I was like, damn.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Insane. That proves your clout right there.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, I want to play one more song off of Attempted Lover for everyone. So what song do you want that to be?
Only one?
I'll play 2.
Okay, play Bathroom Floor and either Mulholland Drive or 4:52 a.m. Your choice.
Hell yeah. Dealer's choice after this.
All right.